Well, I'd like to say good evening to everybody again. I'm going to try to do one of my songs that I wrote a few years ago. I call this song Deprived, and it's all about my opinion toward the horrific abortion epidemic that's going on in our country, that's been accepted as a political issue, when in reality it's a moral issue, just like homosexuality. But unfortunately, most churches won't even mention it because they're afraid the ACLU might have a spy in our congregation. If they hear the pastor talking about abortion or homosexuality, they'll turn them into the federal government and they'll lose their tax-exempt status. But the rest of us, we have to take a beating every Sunday and hear about sin, the sin of adultery, the sin of greed, the sin of coveting. And we know we're all guilty of that, but they're afraid to mention abortion because they assume that there are people in their congregation who have had abortions, but they don't want to offend them. They don't want to mention homosexuality because they figure there's somebody in their congregation who might have a relative that's gay, and they don't want to offend them because they might not show up next Sunday. But the generalized generic sins, man, we get a head full every Sunday. And but this is the way I feel about it, and if nobody agrees with me, I don't care. Abortion is murder. And there's a passage in the Bible that's always puzzled me, and I think it should scare a lot of people, when Jesus told Nicodemus, unless a person is born of water, which is the natural birth, and the spiritual birth, he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. That "and" is a plus sign. Now you figure it out, okay? Why would he say "and"? The water is the natural birth, and the spiritual birth. I just wonder sometimes, like Kay Arthur on Christian radio had a lady call in one day and said that she had 9 abortions before she came to know the Lord. And Kay Arthur, oh my sweetheart, my lovely one, don't you worry, my dear. When you get to heaven, those 9 children will be waiting for you with arms open wide. And that really irritated me. What a deterrent for abortion. In other words, everybody who has aborted their baby, that baby got a free trip to heaven. But those of us who have done things the right way, and we bring our children into the satanic world with all this corruption and sin and evilness, we have to pray, and we have to ask God to please soften our hearts so they come to know Him before they pass into this earth, or else they end up in hell. It's almost like saying, dear Lord, you wasted a lot of time hanging on that cross because we found a new way. We're just going to impregnate our women. Then maybe up to the 9th month, we're going to slaughter that baby. And your mercy is going to immediately just take that little baby into heaven. But the rest of us who do things the right way and bring our children into a world full of all this corruption and temptation, it's just like the Bible says, no one comes to the Father except through me. I don't hear any PS's on there. So I think pastors ought to start using that verse from the Bible a little bit more powerfully. Unless a person is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter into my kingdom. I got that off my chest. But here's my song, and I call it They're Deprived. And it goes like this. There are people in the land got to have the upper hand. right-wing philosophy that only brings you to your knees. I'm just mystified when people listen to their lies. It's hard for me to try to understand the way that it don't matter anyway. Politicians of the day telling people it's okay to kill your baby, but it's all cause of greed, just to get those votes they need. Better open up your eyes, 'cause every time a baby dies, we're telling Jesus that he gave his life in vain for all the babies that we've slain. My God, they're deprived. Systematically they die before they walk the earth and see their mother's face. My God, they're deprived. My God, they're deprived. Systematically they die before they have a chance to see their mother's face. My God, they're deprived. My God is alive. He's telling me to testify. You can't go lower than to take a baby's life. My God, they're deprived. My God is alive. He's telling me to testify. Can't go lower than to take a baby's life. My God, they're deprived. Yes, they are. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback from glow-in-the-dark Christians who say that, oh, God wouldn't be that cruel. He's very merciful. Surely he's taking those little babies into heaven. Well, I asked my assistant pastor one time, we were having a debate about this, because him and his wife had a baby stillborn, and I said, well, that was God's will. There wasn't some stranger who got inside your wife and cut that baby to pieces. And I asked him, I said, what if I say back in my teenage years I had murdered somebody, and then I came to know the Lord later on in life? Can you guarantee me that that person I murdered is in heaven? And he said no. So we're playing with some very serious verses in the Bible that people seem to ignore because it's uncomfortable. But I love my grandmother. I love my mother and father. I was raised in a Christian home. And my grandmother, you know, never mentioned the Bible. She never mentioned Jesus. She never mentioned salvation. But she was a beautiful woman. I mean, I have to accept the fact that there's a real good chance that she didn't know the Lord and she's in hell. But these people who choose to have abortions, they're guaranteed that their babies are in heaven. And I just wonder, maybe we should take that verse from the Bible just a little bit more seriously. Maybe it's a warning that Jesus is giving the world today. We're killing 4,000 a day, 60 million since 1973. And the Bible even tells us the road to hell is very wide and the path to heaven is very narrow. And very few make it. But according to philosophers and glow-in-the-dark Christians, at least since 1973, I have to accept the fact that 60 million babies who were slaughtered are in heaven. I pray that they are. But I'm not sure. And I don't think we should be playing with that verse. I'll talk to you later.